Attention NIO stock investors, we have new failed to deliver data. They are showing elevated spikes on the FTD side of things. Let's talk about it. Very recently, a 4.5 million, almost a 5 million spike. That's on a single day where shares couldn't be located. There could have been naked shorting going on. Let's zoom out though, because the relevance and kind of the significance of this elevated number on a single day, it matters, especially if you figure and look at, if we consider the three factors in the short term that I have on the ticker at the bottom of the screen, and we look at kind of consider this with the big picture overview of NIO stock and its whole trading history in the US. There was one time where the yellow, which depicts the stock price, was absolutely at levels far above what we've seen in the last few years. But in the last few years, what we've seen is an increase in the fails to deliver represented by the white lines. However, there have been three really big spikes in this year of 2024, this day, which was back in, I think it was the end of March or toward the end of March, over 5 million shares that couldn't be located. And then over 6 million later, which in the same week had another 3 to almost 3.5 million spike. And then just recently, this is in October that it was reported, over 4.5 million, almost 5 million shares that couldn't be located. You have to go back to the really big move by NIO stock in late 2019, early 2020 to see these huge elevated, obviously these are at different levels with this spiking of the FTDs relative to what we've seen, even though there has been obviously a lot more density with the fails to deliver over these last 3+ years. And I just think it's pretty obvious if we look at an apparent correlation with stock price in these FTDs. The only time the FTDs really dropped off for NIO was in that time frame where the stock absolutely rocketed. However, there's a little bit more to this in my mind, and that's why I have it in the ticker, and that is the trade volume, meaning on a single day, what is the trade volume? If there's lower trade volume, it is easier for potential bad actors who maybe are predatorily short selling this to get away with pretty much whatever they want. And then the FTDs, which is what we're talking about now. The problem with the FTDs is we never get to see this data real time. So for example, we had no way of knowing that there were over 4.5 million shares on that day in October that could have been used to suppress or mess with the stock price. We have no idea on that real time. We can only track it delayed after the fact, which is why I'm trying to cover it and make people aware of this. The other is the sentiment. Sentiment is not strong. And with 3+ years of a downtrend with the stock price and this elevated FTD level, not just with NIO, but with a lot of other Chinese stocks, I just think, this is in the short term, a pretty powerful indicator and maybe a reason for what we're seeing with the stock price being under $5 at this time. And speaking of time, date and timestamp, this is Friday, November 15th. It is within the first hour of the market open here as I'm recording this, but I wanted to get it up and out as soon as possible because this is the most recent data that we've gotten. And I wanted to make NIO stock investors aware of the fact that we have these elevated spikes which continue on the FTD side of things. Anyway, have a great day. I'll see you all again very soon.